Hello everybody, welcome back to Torchlight. So, the enemies wouldn't leave us alone at the end of the last episode. That was kind of annoying. But they're dead now, and I'm not.
A trap has been sprung.
Then again, maybe not. Really? Bloody poison things going all over the place. Stop trying to fire through things. Go around. It's weird because sometimes the pathfinding will take it around an object, and sometimes it will just try to fire through.
I can't carry it anymore.
And the difference can get really, really irritating at times. Like, really irritating. Sure, why not? Don't need that, don't need that. Nope. 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 $164 and 105. We've got one with 131 there. That's 148, so that would in fact. Ah, I should have been leveling up strength. Maybe I'll put some points into strength next time I level up. Right, so we'll send the pet to town to get some money.
Your pet has departed.
I do like Torchlight 2, that the fact that you can get your pet to buy things as well as sell, which is useful as hell, believe me. Click the bloody spider! The only problem with these top-down clicky games is it can be very annoying to actually get them to attack the right thing. Which I know is a complaint I've been saying for the past, well, however many episodes I'm on, I've lost track. But it's still true. I can click them! I will probably keep complaining about it right up until the last episode. And I finally complete the game. And that is why I like using the magic bomb.
gained fame.
Yay, fame. I like that there's like more than one level thing that you can actually increase. I think, you know, when you're one of those people that just sort of like obsessive about watching that little meter at the bottom of the screen slowly go up, it's the same reason I love Borderlands. Which is another game that's actually very similar to this if you actually stop and think about it. It's just, except it's a first-person shooter rather than top-down clicky game. Okay, I gotta ask, is there actually like a word for this type of game? I keep calling it a top-down clicky game, but there must be some actual term or something for what this type of game actually is. I know it's an RPG, that much is obvious, but beyond that, what kind of game actually is it?
My path is full.
There must be a term, because there's like a term for bleeding everything. And I mean, I looked on the Steam forums, because when I'm tagging this on YouTube, of course you have to sort of think very hard, actually, about what sort of tags you're going to give it. Because... well, that one will... do that. That one. Quit that. Stop blinking, you stupid spell screen. So, I mean, yeah, because when I'm doing tags on YouTube, you know, you obviously have to think very carefully about the tags you give it in order to sort of try to maximize your, ooh. I got one. That could come in handy. Oh, no, 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 I want to keep that. So yeah, to maximize sort of hits and everything, you need to pick some good stuff, and in terms of like tags and whatnot. So obviously you kind of need to know what kind of genre of game it is. Now I've put RPG, but I'm like, what is actually the type of game? I mean, I looked on the Steam things, because obviously Steam games have tags these days. The best one, a lot of people seem to refer to them as action RPGs, which I guess kind of makes sense, because I was looking at other games of this genre like Titan Quest, Pillars of Eternity, which I do need to get around to playing. Maybe I'll do a Let's Play of that. I don't know. I sort of played it briefly and then kind of lost interest. Not because it's a bad game, but because I'm easily distracted. Which you should know by now if you've been watching my videos for any length of time. So, and you know, they've all got different things, or you know, none of them are consistent. So, what is this type of game called? Is it just top-down? Is it isometric? I'm not sure if this one is isometric. Can't the camera be rotated? I can't remember. I don't bother rotating the camera. I mean, I think they're typically called isometric, but again, this one doesn't really feel isometric. I know it is, but because it's 3D and not like pre-rendered or something, it doesn't feel isometric. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So I don't know, what would you call this genre of game, I wonder? Yeah.
Your pet has returned.
So, I don't know. I mean, most games have a genre. Like, I remember I was talking with a friend, I think it was Zero, actually, and we were sort of discussing roguelikes, and I said to him that the term roguelike pretty much just meant that it was randomly generated. And he sort of corrected me saying, well, it's called roguelike because it's like the game Rogue, which was randomly generated. But I said, well, just because it's like the game Rogue doesn't really mean that you can't say, well, that means randomly generated, doesn't it? And it does now. My point is, you know, once a genre is defined, like I would say that an RPG is specifically a game where you collect experience in order to level up your character. Now what this experience is can be variable. In this game it's just direct, it's experience, it is points. But it could be other things, like the points could have an in-universe meaning, rather than just arbitrary experience points. And this kind of comes down to the fact that, you know, genres aren't so easily defined, necessarily, in gaming. Like, case in point, Bioshock is listed as an RPG. And I would agree with that. I would say that it is an RPG. It is a very minor RPG. Its RPG element is very small, but it is, because you collect Adam, and then you spend those points on increasing your character's abilities. And, you know, that is definitely what an RPG is. But then I've also seen games like Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. Now, I have seen that listed in games as like top best RPGs ever. And I'm like, that game is not an RPG. Okay, it is a first-person shooter with some minor horror elements, very minor. But it is not an RPG. It's not. It can't be an RPG. Because it doesn't have the collection of points. You don't actually collect any kind of point. And this is sort of why definitions are so sort of flaky, I suppose, these days, is that you never really... It can be hard to tell what a definition of something is because they're so flaky. I would not classify Stalker as an RPG. Maybe you disagree with me on that. Maybe you think it is an RPG. If you do, I would be very interested to hear your reasonings as to why you think it's an RPG. I do not think that it is, on so many different levels. Ooh, hello. Yes, please. Big improvement. And then, you know, you got other games like first-person shooter, that's fairly obvious. And then you have FPS RPG, that would be something like Borderlands or Fallout. Now, the thing about those games is that people often say, oh, well, Fallout's not much of an RPG, or Borderlands isn't really an RPG, and, well, it kind of is. I mean, I want to point out that RPG stands for role-playing game, which is a very broad term. A game where you play a role. That's friggin' any game, if you actually stop and think about it. What did I need in order to use that? Dexterity level 44. I don't think I'm quite near there yet. I'm definitely not. Okay. Start putting points into strength, because getting a little fed up of not being able to equip some of this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, the term RPG is so unbelievably vague, to the point of just, well, pointlessness, really, let's be honest. Doesn't mean anything. But I would say that an RPG is a game where you grind points. You gain points and you use them to make your character stronger. It can either be automatic or it can be something that you have to decide. Die already. And yeah, I mean, some of them are easy, like a racing game. That's fairly easy. It's a game where you race. Doesn't necessarily have to be with cars, of course. You can have a flying racing game, although I think those games are referred to as flying. But then again, you could have a racing game Cars.
Quest complete.
You could have a racing game with planes. You could have a racing game with, well, pretty much anything, really. Actually stop and think about it. So genres, I mean, kind of by their definition, genres are not easy to nail down. I mean, like one of the newest sort of genres of video games is the walking simulator. Now, you can have both good and bad games in a walking simulator. I mean, there's games like, say, Dear Esther, which is definitely a walking simulator. You walk around, a guy talks at you. You walk around through some very beautifully designed areas, but ultimately meaningless. I mean, I kind of liked Dear Esther the first time I played it. I thought, well, you know, this is something a bit different, but it has, like, zero replayability. You know, you play it through once. I mean, I thought one of the things that was supposed to happen was there was supposed to be an element of randomness to it, and you think, well, that could work. You know, randomness obviously helps to keep up the longevity of a game. I'm going to walk back to town, I think, so I can hand those 2 quests in. So yeah, randomness helps to increase the longevity of a game, and if you put randomness into a game like Dear Esther, that would probably be a good idea. It would definitely increase the longevity and I think generally make it a better game. But then you get other ones like, say, that needs to be handed in. Say Stanley Parable. Now that game is described as a walking simulator, but that feels, frankly, like almost an insult to how brilliant the game actually is. Which is very brilliant. If you've never played Stanley Parable, what the fuck are you doing with your life? The thing about Stanley Parable is it's a game that has 3 characters. Stanley, the narrator, and you.
What can I do?
You are as much a character in that game as friggin' as Stanley is, which is why it's so brilliant. Oh, look, a lost dungeon.
Sail.
Look at that. There's some of those.
Bye bye.
And yeah, okay, we'll go to the bleeding lost dungeon. Side questing. Hopefully it'll be a nice treasure one rather than one full of really hard enemies. Fingers crossed! Oh dear. That doesn't look good. Curse you, random luck! Ooh, I thought we were going to get the dog then. Sorry, I was quiet then. I really had to freaking concentrate. I mean, it's kind of weird because often the genre that a game is in can sometimes, I guess, belie how good or indeed bad a game can be. You know, although to be perfectly honest, you know, I mean, good and bad isn't chosen by genre, but, you know, you hear a game that, like Walking Simulator, some people would instantly say, oh, that game's terrible. Can't be any good, it's just you just walk around. How is that any good? Well, if you genuinely believe a Walking Simulator can't be good, play Stanley Parable. Or, say, platforming puzzle games. If you think a platforming puzzle game could never have an amazing story, play Thomas Was Alone. You know, it's one of those odd things where a genre can almost be to a game's detriment because of certain expectations of the genre, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my butt. In fact, I probably am. Besides, I'm going to have to wrap this conversation up. Very one-sided conversation, admittedly, but I'm still going to have to wrap it up because I am almost out of time for this episode. I'm going to kill these giant-ass spider here.
You have gained in experience.
And that'll do it for this episode, and I will see you in the next part. Goodbye.